Hello, it's me, Jervy. Now, most of my videos have been very upbeat, but this is one for school, so it's not going to be that. This isn't going to be upbeat at all. Basically, we had to read these books, and I read my book. It was a good book. It wasn't the best book I've read, but it was a good book. But basically, it was a health book. It wasn't necessarily a health book per se. It was a health fiction book. So it was a fiction book with health topics in it. In this one, I talked about PTSD. So I learned a bit about PTSD. But during that, I also learned, I went out and I learned more about PTSD. And that it's a very complex disorder because it doesn't just affect one person at one specific time. It affects multiple people a lot of the time. And because of how much it varies between a person to person, it can be very hard for people. It varies from person to person. Some people, it's not that bad. Other people, it's completely bad. But I digress. So, as I was saying, PTSD is very hard for more than one person because it's very hard for the family who deals with it. And if they can't deal with it in the right way, they're going to end up making mistakes which can change their life. And sometimes people don't want change in their life. Most of the time, PTSD comes from unexpected events. It's just simple. But there are many, many websites that list stuff that you can do to help as a family member. It's hard to have a website that has help for the person aside from listing doctors and help and psychiatrists. But lots of websites can actually help the family members when dealing with someone who has PTSD because it's a very hard time. It's a traumatic time. That is a bit ironic, but what you gonna do about that? It is traumatic for everyone, and it's not a pleasant thing to go through. I've never had to go through it. I don't have PTSD. None of my family members ever have, and I hope they never do, because it's honestly something that I wish they don't have. So, I'm going to put a link in the description to some websites that you can go to that list doctors in Canada, in Saskatoon, in wherever. And some sites that have, stuff for the family. Anyways, that's all for this video.